Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast, is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show. Welcome back to the podcast, kids. Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. If you read the description and you're keeping up and you're taking notes and you've been following loyally over this past calendar year, then you are very aware that this is episode number 11. Joe just figured it out. Did you hear that sound? That was Joe realizing we're on number 11. He may be ready. He may not. We'll find out together. Tom Clark here with you as always, joined by Joe Higgens and Jay Luft. And we're here going over the entire series of Ted Lasso. Want to know why? Because we loves it so much. And we know you loves it as well. And we hope you've had a good time going back through this show with us. We love doing it. It's awesome. It's a great thrill for us to be able to hang out together and do this show. So hopefully you've gotten something out of it. We dive deep, nuances, exposition, the whole nine. You get it here on this little podcast. Can't wait to dive into it here today. Gentlemen, we got 2 left, and we are done with season 2. Freaking insane. Jay, let's start with you this time. As we go into episode 11, fresh, hot off the heels of episode number 10, thoughts going into number 11?
As I said at the end of last week's episode, this is kind of like everyone's like on the trajectory now towards where they're going to end up at for the start of season 3. A lot of stuff starts moving a little bit faster than it had been in previous episodes, and the big thing, as I said in the last episode, if last episode was Nate kind of like being allured by the dark side, this one's Order 66. He's going to kill some younglings.
I've spent all week trying to think of another analogy, and that is still the best one. Yeah, there's never been a bigger fall from grace.
Always go to the Order 66 if I can.
It's pretty big. He ain't fooling. You'll find out. If you're watching this in real time for the first time and enjoying the podcast along with us, thank you. And you're going to find out, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to sting. And by the end of this one, you're going to be ready to kill a character that's not even real. But we'll all get there together.
But isn't that a sign of how good it is, though, that I cannot separate the actor, Nick Mohammed, from Nate? And if I saw him, I would punch him. Like, it's just like... because
I remember when we went to All In, he was doing it. He was doing like a stage show in London.
Just go and boo him.
Well, we got up. I can't remember who it was. There was a group of us who got off the tube, and like the first thing I saw was this poster of his show, and I just grimaced, and I was like, "Wait, no, that's Nathan thinking of, not Nick Mohammed. He seems quite cool."
It's tough,
it's
right?
the thing of they're just so well written characters that you believe they're real, not in a like mad soap opera, Free Deirdre sort of thing. But that's a reference for Jay only. But yeah, in just a...
It worked. You popped him.
But in the way they're just... You believe that, that it's just so well done. And the end of this episode, the message in the group from Jay, I'm so angry right now.
Oh, I was absurdly angry by the end of this episode because I'd forgotten about that last little bit of the episode.
So had I.
There was a white hot rage that came over me.
It's effective pro wrestling booking, man. We got to get you to the arena. We got to make you feel this to the point that you got to go buy a ticket. That's what they're doing here. Yeah. Like I want somebody to punch Nate in the face by the time this thing's over.
We ended the last episode on a kind of upwards trajectory, on an upbeat thing. It was sad. It was melancholy, but and then I was right to rip chairs out and throw them at people. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we're going full throttle with this one, kids. Grab onto something and hold on tight. Episode 11 is entitled Midnight Train to Royston. And for all your old school R&B fans, you're going Midnight Train to Royston. Because, yes, it is a throwback to last night at the Pips Midnight Train to Georgia. There you go. Original air date, October 1st, 2021. Directed by MJ Delaney. Story by Sasha Garron. 12 episodes, kids. We've got this one and one more, and that's it for this season. When last we left the Ted Lasso gang, we saw the send-off for Rebecca's recently departed dad as the entire AFC Richmond crew came together for her and her mom. Roy's views on death frustrated Keeley as Jamie made a surprising confession to her, and Ted, after suffering another panic attack, broke down to Dr. Sharon, who helped him navigate the situation. But in the end, it was Rebecca's relationship with Sam and Rupert's curious discussion with Nate that set the table moving forward. Foreshadow. We open on a game, and the crowd is chanting for Sam, who scored the first hat trick of his career. Chris and Arlo are back on the show, back on the call, who were talking about Richmond's final game of the season. This is a great intro. Part of me was like, is this a dream sequence? Because it's almost too bright and cheery. Is Sam having a dream that this is life is grand? Do you know what I'm saying? It was awesome, but that's my first thought.
I think because for the past 2 episodes as well, we've not had any football.
True.
Yeah.
Like, so I was like, oh yeah, this is a show about a football team. Yeah, like it's just, yeah. I think if you look at all the other like football bits in it, it is this staging. It's just because we haven't seen it for so long.
It's fair. That's fair.
And also because it's Sam getting his hat trick, maybe it is slightly like jazzed up because it's Sam's first hat trick and it's like a special moment. I don't know.
We'll take that. That works for me. They are 1 win away from promotion back to the Premier League. This is an incredible turnaround. We see that fans of a newly popular Sam Obisanya have decided to use Seven Nation Army as the basis for his chant. So that's how they're chanting his name during the game. The guys are congratulating Sam. They're all over him during the game and in the parking lot as well. Sam gets a text from Rebecca, who also congratulates him and tells him to have a nice night. That, not a deal breaker, but knowing what you just had with this woman, have a nice night, stings. And I know she didn't intend for it to sting, but I'm sure it stung.
Yeah, because he kind of sits there and he's like, it takes the smile off his face a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And then we get Colin.
This. Again, like we say, like the jokes in this are incredibly well written, but the physical comedy in this as well. And this is just a car, like it's not even a person.
Again, it's a callback to Two Aces.
It is.
Oh Christ, it is. Yeah.
Colin says about the Lamborghini being too much of a car for a little man like him, and then it's just brilliant.
Austin Powers in it in that car park.
Yeah.
I love that like the last sort of like couple of episodes of the series, you get like a few like really weird moments with Colin, but it's like to set up like a bigger thing for him in season 3 because he's such a good character.
It's so good. He's right. It's much car for me. Yeah. So it's great. The show intros and Ted is entering Rebecca's office, just like the good old days of this show. And he says, "Bing bong, you ding dongs." Rebecca says, "Guess who's going to be featured in Vanity Fair's business issue as a powerful woman on the rise?" He goes, "I finally got it. This is incredible."
Another one of Ted's great act outs as well. Like,
yeah.
I know the owner of the Sun. You know God? Yeah. It's up there with those.
Oh, it's so good. And Rebecca says, "Ted." And Ted says, "Yeah." And she goes, "Not you, Keeley." Ted says, "Oh, that makes more sense." "Hey, congrats, Keeley. That's going to be a Vanity Fair to remember." Nice little play on words. Yeah. And Keeley says, "It's just an honor to be mad fit and successful." And they all squeal like 3 girls together.
Well, they do. And then Ted goes, "Woo!" It like joins in.
Jump in.
Here. I'll do it.
Got to jump in. Ted tells him Dr. Sharon's last day is tomorrow. We're all chipping in to get her something special. And Rebecca says, "What'd you decide on?" He says, "An envelope of cash." You know, I figure she already has all her deep, dark secrets. Kind of tough to top that with a scarf and a candle, you know, which makes sense.
Yeah. I'd rather have a big envelope of cash.
Oh, who wouldn't? Of course.
Yeah.
Higgins comes in and says that Edwin Akufu, remember that name, kids, wants to speak to Rebecca. Rebecca says, "Who is Edwin Akufu?" And Higgins says, "His father owns the largest tech firm in Ghana." Ted says, "Wait a second. I thought I did." And Higgins says, "Until he died last month." Ted goes, "I apologize for my joke." So it's very quick. Edwin has inherited 1.2 billion pounds, and Higgins believes he wants to buy the club. How you like that?
And there's a
So-
look, isn't there, of
Yeah.
like it doesn't really work in an audio medium, but yeah, it's yeah. Like I mean, from the end of this, where she was going to sell it, like to now, where even a billionaire coming to throw money at her, she's like, no. This is again, they've all found family.
Mm-hmm. She would have been okay with this in season 1.
Yeah, she'd have done it straight away,
Sure.
but because of yeah.
And the next scene we get is more stuff that's paving the way for what's to come. Will goes into Nate's office. Will is the nicest kid in the building and has no agenda and doesn't want to hurt anyone. Just really loves his job and loves being there. He says,
Big fan of lavender.
"Hi, big fan of lavender." Yeah.
Lavender.
Hi, got the suit. Got the suit Ted bought you back from the dry cleaners.
I
Uses this
don't
one.
know whether he's doing that because he's Will and he's just going, it's your Ted suit, or he's doing it as a sly dig because he knows he can get away with it. I
Mm.
believe it's the first one because Will's just Will. But I'd like to believe that this is a little way I can get back at you for the horrible thing you did to me in that boot room.
Yep. Yeah. And Nate goes off. It's my suit. The second Ted gave it to me, ownership transferred and became my suit, Will. And Beard is watching all this from his office. Did you catch the book that Beard was reading? Did anybody catch it?
It's something about funguses and how they join us all or something. It looks like it's like some kind of epidemiology book or something.
Interesting. And then
How everything's linked.
and everything is linked. Yeah. Will kind of,
Hang on, that kind of like leads up to what he says to Nate in the next scene
Yes.
about the trees, the forest.
Yes.
Very true. You guys are getting good at this, man. We ought to do a podcast like this because we figure this stuff out.
We did
Also,
really good at it.
Also, as another just a weird like bit, would Nate have reacted like that if Beard wasn't in the next room? Would he have just gone, "It's my suit," or would he have like just?
I don't know. I think he's got a bit more of a chip on his shoulder than he previously had anyway, after like Rupert whispering in his ear in the last episode. But also when Roy then walks in the room, like as if Nate turns if he's about to say something to Will again, and then it's Roy and he shits himself.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just a thing.
Although to be fair, if Roy was like screaming, "Are my eyebrows evil to me?" I'd probably be quite scared as well.
Yeah. What's the right answer? Yeah.
Roy bursts in yelling about his eyebrows. I got to do a photo shoot with Keeley tonight. The photo shoot coordinator told me my eyebrows are crazy. Nathan says, Jesus, are my eyebrows crazy? Nathan still has a little bit of comical, innocent Nate left, but it's sinking down deeper the farther we go.
It's the thing of, he doesn't say, no, your eyebrows are normal, Roy. He immediately goes, well, are mine? Like, it's a very conceited thing to do, to be like, not help. Like the Diamond Dogs, it was all helping each other. But now he's not gone, no, Roy, your eyebrows are normal. He's like, oh shit, am mine mad? Like, he doesn't offer anything constructive.
That's true. Roy says they want to do an at home with the footballer boyfriend shot. Beard is adjusting his eyebrows in the next room. You can see him.
They both do. They're both doing this, and he does that cool thing.
He says, bet they won't even use it. That's the Jeff Cobb thing, if you're a JPW fan, Yeah. He says, bet they won't even use it. She also told me I've got to wear all black so that Keeley pops. It says you're always wearing black. This isn't black. This is dark heather charcoal, which is a great line.
And then Ted comes through. I love it when men talk about fashion together. Who's winning?
That's
it's
great.
A brilliant line.
Nate has a new tactic here. He's going to run by Ted. He said, can I run it by you? And Ted says, you can run it, walk it, cartwheel it to me. I don't care. Just call me Dumbo because I'm all ears. And Nate looks at his beard and goes, is that a yes? Beard says, yes. Nate says, when we play Brentford, we should play with a false 9. Ted says, couldn't agree more. What is that? He says, a play without strikers. Okay, wait, so Jamie and Danny ain't going to play? Beard says they do, but they play in midfield where no one expects them to be. Ted says, yeah, I see. Okay, so we got both our aces tucked up our sleeves, huh? Love that. Okay, today let's go ahead and try out your fake 9. Not false 9, fake 9. Where is Brentford? And have we even heard this team mentioned in the show so far? I don't think we have.
Brentford are based in London. They are, I'm assuming, based on like the canon of the series, they would have probably got promoted with Richmond.
I said, didn't they have a really good season last season? I only know this because Harvey's uncle's house is right near their training grounds, and we walked past it, and he was like, "That's where," like thinking I know anything about football. He was like, "That's where Brentford train," and I was like, "Sweet." I don't know.
They got promoted a couple of years ago, and I think everyone was expecting them because it was the first time they'd been promoted. Everyone was kind of expecting them to sort of just like be up and down. And they managed to stay up. They are currently, at time of recording, 16th in the league with 3 points clear of the bottom. So they're not, the bottom 3. So they're not in a terrible position. They're not in a good position either, but they're not in a bad position. They did finish mid-table a couple of years ago. Might have been 1 or 2 years ago. So they're a okay team. They're never probably going to win the league, but they're certainly not going to make it easy for teams they do play against.
Good call. I like how Ted walks out and compliments Roy's clothes on his way. Hey, this looks very nice. Roy says, thank you. As if he doesn't wear this all the time, right? But I like that. Nice little circle back to Nathan as well. And then this bit, I just don't. Ted walks out and Nate says, here we go again. Give Ted yet another idea. He'll take all the credit for it. Roy goes, that's the job, son.
Yeah.
And Nate says, you guys don't ever want to be in charge, be the boss, get all the credit. Beer says, we used to believe that trees competed with each other for light. Susan Simard's fieldwork challenged that perception, and now we realize that the forest is a socialist community. Trees work in harmony to share the sunlight. Nate says, can't you just give me a straight answer for once? Roy says, I think he just did.
I think he
and
just
Beard
did.
nods. Yeah. Nate says, okay, when this works, and it will, I'm telling everyone it was my idea. What?
Yeah.
This is like the mask finally slipping, isn't it, for Nate?
Oh, the mask has fallen off and smashed on the floor at this point. It's like...
But,
Roy and Beard get it, but Nate...
But I mean, with like, obviously, like, this episode is when he's like, not just burning the bridges, he's setting fire to them and like nuking the fucking area around it. Yeah. Like, he literally, in this episode, kind of like, by the end of it, he's going to be leaving the club soon because he's like pretty much burned every fucking bridge he has.
Also, sir, right? Parking the bus, Nate got all the credit for that. The Wunderkind. Right, so he's chatting out. Sorry, I just realised. He's chatting out of his ass.
Yeah, I think it's probably more obviously because he got the credit for it, but then obviously when Ted came
Ted
back,
wasn't there, and if Ted was there, Ted would have took the credit for it.
Yeah,
Ted had his panic attack, didn't he? Yeah.
So,
sorry, it just made me very angry.
Listen, to your point, I have a question for the group. We've done the Star Wars comparisons here, and people have called Nate the Dark Nate and all that stuff. But here's my question. For me personally, when Anakin gets to the younglings bit, I didn't feel any of that. I thought, I don't believe any of this. I feel like he's got to be Vader by the end. Let's go. Personally,
how are we quickly making him Vader? Kill some kids.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, guys, circling back to this, did you feel this? Did this feel like, wait, is it okay? Is this on the writers going, we got to go now? Or am I crazy?
It's always been there, bubbling along. At the start of season 2. It's always been there, just churning away underneath. We've seen the mask slip a couple of times. Even last episode with the I'd be a tiger so I could rip the faces off my enemies sort of thing. That's not a thing a normal boy says.
No.
I think Rupert, Rupert basically blowing smoke up his arse in the last episode, like him raising the heat on it. As we say, it's been simmering away. Now it's come to the boil.
That's the linchpin of it, yeah.
Obviously, like as well, he was getting a lot of his kind of demise was him focusing on like social media and what people like people praising him, but also people like shit talking him and making memes of him, and it was like it as social media seems to do, it makes a lot of people unhinged. Had that effect with Nate. But yeah, I think this is like, whereas obviously in a film this would have been like sort of the end of Act 2, where Act 3 is where like they have the full villain arc.
Yeah,
Act
not
2
to
is where
say that the prequel Star Wars films are garbage, because there's bits in them that are great, but they're very poorly paced. The first film is an entire waste of time, and the fact that people have gone back now and gone, oh, they're worth critically reevaluating. No, they're not.
No.
Are you telling me that you don't like a Star Wars film that's all about trade unions?
I do.
Because
more about that, the better.
Because 12-year-old me was so excited to learn about trade unions.
Yeah,
and
mate.
Space.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I just want to see fucking Jedi's kill people. That's what I want.
It's like, not to go off and stuff, but people shitting on all the new Star Wars that's coming out because it's quote unquote woke or because there's women in it. And I'm like, it's new Star Wars. I'll always watch it. Like, I haven't watched. Is it Andor?
Andor's pretty good.
I haven't watched it yet because someone told me it's just really bleak, and I was like,
is.
I need to be in a good place for that because
it is, but it ends really upbeat, I think.
Yeah, I just need to be in the right frame of mind to go into
the last episode. I was ready to start a rebellion against the UK government. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I
should get into that then.
Yeah. I was fully ready to like bring down the Empire.
But yeah,
for all federal authorities listening, I don't know these gentlemen, so don't group me in. I don't want my door kicked in at any second.
International waters, mate.
For anyone who works for MI5 listening to this podcast, that was definitely a joke.
It's just a joke. This is just humor.
Oh, I thought you said it was a joke. I was like, yeah, I'll admit it. It was me. And for anyone that works for MFI, sort your wardrobes out. They're rubbish.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Nobody. Because they don't even exist anymore.
Well, that's why they went out of business, mate.
Yeah.
Because the wardrobes were shit.
Also, just to hark back to Brentford for a second as well. I knew I recognised it from somewhere. They used to be quite a low league team, didn't they, Brentford?
Yeah.
They referenced a lot in the Robert Rankin books because the Brentford Triangle, Brentford Trilogy. But yeah, I knew it from somewhere because they used to go and watch Brentford, and they were like a very low league team. And so yeah, that's not important.
They only moved up in the last 10 like moved up leagues in the last 10 years or so.
We'll wrap this up with Beard telling Roy, your eyebrows aren't crazy. They're psychotic, which is awesome. Roy says, I appreciate that.
I appreciate that. Like, again, Beard and Roy's dynamic. I think it's two sides of the same coin, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. They get along quite well.
That's exactly what Roy wanted to hear. But he just didn't realize until Beard said it.
As we know, what does Roy respect above anything else? Honesty.
Yeah, for sure. So down the pitch, Ted is doing Ted stuff. And we mean, instead of training, the team are trying to learn the dance moves in sync.
I love the way they changed the shot, though, where Nate's like, this is going to work. And he changed the shot, and it's like Ted saying, they're not working together. They're all out of sync. And they're not gelling properly, and it's all like football in terms. And Nate looks really distraught by it.
He does,
as if the tactic isn't working. And it was like, oh yeah, maybe that's like a nice little moment. And then it just turned to them all like dancing to bye bye bye.
But it's Ted going, no, it's bye bye bye, and then no. Look at my legs when he's doing it. Like it's the first thing Ted's cared about properly.
And not that I would ever defend Nate the character's rage, because it's this guy need Dr. Sharon more than him did, maybe besides Ted. But like there are moments when, if I'm in the shoes of someone who's trying to get better at his job, Ted's having the guys dance to an NSYNC song. Like, we know Ted's harmless and he has everyone's best interest at heart. But if I'm trying to learn, maybe I'm a little frustrated. Doesn't mean. But we know Nate's also got some wackadoodle stuff happening up here with his wiring.
Conversely to that as well, what's to say this isn't at the end of practice and it's in their free time? and they've all agreed to stay behind for an hour to learn a dance routine for Dr. Sharon, who has helped every single one of them.
To be fair, when later in the scene, Edwin Akufu does say, "Oh, I was told training was going to be finished by now."
Yeah.
Ooh, well done, Jay.
Little buff boys.
I like that. They are getting ready for Dr. Sharon's going away party, and Ted tells him, this ain't going to mean Bo Jackson diddly squat unless you could tell how hard we worked on it. It's not execution that's the gift, it's the effort. And he's all about it. And Beard is in the background nodding his head. Did you catch that?
The Bo Jackson diddly is a good portmanteau of names as well.
Great. And suddenly we get a motorcade pulling into the car park, led by a police escort, followed by a helicopter. Out of the helicopter comes a smiling Edwin Akufu. First time we see him, played by Sam Richardson. He goes straight up to Ted. Give the good people out there who aren't familiar with any of the references you just gave what any of that meant.
Go ahead, Joe. It's all on you, this one.
Oh, okay. So me and Jay are both huge, massive fans of the Netflix comedy series I Think You Should Leave Now. Written by Tim Robinson, who used to write for Saturday Night Live, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's a sketch comedy thing, but it's quite bizarre.
It's very surreal.
There's moments of incredible surrealness. They do an intervention in the guy who owned Garfield's house, and everything's made of Garfield's. There's lots of weird bits in it. But Sam Richardson plays several characters in different sketches and stuff. But he's very, very funny. In this, he's very, very good as acting, but he's also very, very good. And we've said to Tom, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. There's 3 seasons of it. They're like 20-minute episodes. You can burn through them, and it's a sketch show, so some of them are better than others in the sketches. But anything with Sam Richards, we were saying before, like every sketch that he's in is one of the memorable ones.
Yeah,
because he's so good.
He does a lot. He does a lot of sketches as like a game show host or like a pageant host, doesn't he?
So there's the Baby of the Year awards, which he does. There's the Little Buff Boys. There's Metal Maniac. But
Maniac,
it's go and watch it, please, because I want another season of it.
There is also the Ghost of Christmas Way Future.
It's Scrooge. You think it's going to be Scrooge, and then he comes through in like an exosuit and
through like a portal.
Yeah, the Christmas is rubbish. All the skeletons are in charge now, and it's
Scrooge.
But he's just really good.
He's very entertaining and he's fantastic.
Great value for money. We'll send you some of his sketches through because I'm fairly sure they're all on YouTube, just individual bits.
Yeah, they will be.
Because I think if you watch them and don't like a sketch with him in it, you won't like the rest of it.
I'd say Tom would definitely appreciate the Proposal Garden.
Proposal Garden because it's got actual wrestlers in it, but I also think Baby of the Year is legitimately one of the funniest things.
Very funny. Yeah.
I often find myself walking around the kitchen going, "Look at their toes, like so many curly canned shrimp." Yeah. Anyway, back to the actual thing we're here to talk about.
I got extremely excited when I saw it with Sam Richardson.
Yeah, I did as well. But like I said to Jay before we started recording, it's like it took me a moment to recognize him because he's doing a Ghanaian accent as well.
But also, he's like lost a lot of weight since the show. So.
Yeah, he's slimmed down a wee bit. He's lost some timber.
Yeah.
And he's done some stuff since Ted also because he's got a little buzz from the show on him. So yeah, he's getting out there and he's excellent here. And kids, you'll enjoy him here. You won't later. You won't later. No, I'm just saying.
So come back later.
Oh yeah. So he comes up. My most sincere apologies. I was told your training would be finished by now, as we said. Oh, that's okay. Hakuna Matata, am I right? Oh, I'm sorry. That was kind of racist, wasn't it? And he goes, Timon and Pumbaa are cartoons, so I'll let it slide. Hey, I appreciate you. So Ted got away with that one. I'm like, why in the world would you, like, I know Ted don't mean any harm, but, holy Lord. But it was fine. So he tries to shake his hand, and Edwin says, I don't shake hands, but I was someone who does. Francis? And Francis comes forward and does the whole rigmarole with his hands.
Yeah.
It's like Tony Stark saying, "Oh, I don't like people handing me things." So Pepper has to take whatever's being handed to him. It's like that eccentric billionaire thing. So I appreciated that. It's good. Ted says this is the best, one of the best handshakes I've ever had. Firm yet comforting. You know, like a weighted blanket for my hand toes. Here we go with the hand toe stuff again.
Oh, mate.
I bet you're looking to chop it up with Miss Welton. Yeah. So we know what's coming here. They all go down into the office. But what Beard stays, right? And Ted says, make more sense when you see it written down. Edward says, oh, okay. Ted says to Beard, take it from here. And Beard says, if it's got to be me, which is another NSYNC
Yeah.
thing. The guys go back to their routine.
Song, isn't it?
It is. Hey, kids, Tom Clark here, and did you know the very podcast you're listening to right now is available on BoinkStudios.com. BOINK, Boink Studios is the home of Tom Clark's Main Event, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Visit the site today for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Check out the site and bookmark today, BoinkStudios.com. Hey, did you notice when Will's got his phone up, he's like doing a dance like to the song with it? He's all into it.
Oh, I thought it was he's dancing to it, but holding it above his head. Is that not a reference to what's
Could
the
be.
80s film? John Cusack.
Yeah. Say anything or something.
Say
like that?
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
He probably isn't, but
Could be. And you can see Nate still like, oh God, I hate this place. He's just
why not leave,
disgusted.
mate? It's after
Yeah.
practice. You're not needed. If they're doing
Yeah.
a dance routine,
Yeah.
go.
Bye. Yeah. Go
Bye,
home.
bye, bye.
and- Yeah. Yeah.
bye.
That's good.
Ain't no lie.
Ain't no lie. They nail it this time. And Beard goes, they gets real quiet and Beard goes, that was it. And they're all celebrating.
Oh my God. It was one of those things. It wasn't. Loads of them are out of sync. But
That's
but
good.
they're a football team learning a dance routine on like their off time for Dr. Sharon. And that joy at the end of when he goes, that was it, you've nailed it. Like some guy takes his shirt off and he's running
Yeah.
about. Like it's brilliant.
I saw that. I tried to see who it was, but I couldn't tell.
I think it's
That was
just one
awesome.
of the background people. I don't think it was anyone important.
One of the extras.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's that thing that it's team building.
yes. Yes. Just like movie night.
Yeah,
Just like movie
all
night.
of
Yeah.
these things. It may be for another reason, but it's also helping build those bonds of camaraderie
It's wax
And-
on,
and
wax
that-
off.
and that literal joy in their faces when they nail. There's like a split second, and then they all go ham, and it's a delight.
It's wax on, wax off, right? Danny thinks he's being taught nothing, and in the end, he taught him how to fight. He didn't have any idea. Yeah, it's team bonding so we can be there for each other later.
Oh,
and
we're referencing all the old movies today, aren't we?
I'm telling you, man, that's what we do here. So we go into this meeting, and basically, kids, what it boils down to is that Edwin wants to buy Sam's contract. They think he's there to buy the team. He doesn't want to buy the team. He wants Sam. Higgins says, Sam is under contract with us for another 3 years. Edwin says, I understand. Therefore, I'd offer you a generous transfer fee of so much money that people would think I'm crazy, and you've taken advantage of me in a financial, non-sexual way, of course, which is nice. Higgins says, I believe he's making you an offer you can't refuse. And Ted says, oh, Godfather, I see you. So there you go. Rebecca says, well, I'm refusing an offer he can't make. And Ted says to Edwin, is that a quote from the third movie? And Edwin's like he's not sure, right?
Well, no one remembers the third movie because the third movie's not good. But
Exactly.
whatever.
So, and look, we know the background of this. Sam and Rebecca have had a relationship that she's put on hold until she tries to figure some things out from the last episode.
No, there's the bit where he goes, I want to buy Sam. And Keeley goes, but Rebecca loves Sam.
Yeah.
And, like Rebecca goes, like looks up at her, and then Ted goes, yeah, we all love Sam.
Yep.
How are we with cloning? That's the line, isn't it?
Yeah, because he goes, those Scottish guys have been mighty quiet.
Scottish guys have been very quiet.
And then Edwin turns around, someone goes, there's not much difference between a white man and a white man who's silent. And Ted just looks really confused at him.
And then Ted just says, word. That's what he says. Ted is the whitest guy in the room, kids.
Ted is that's from the Urban Dictionary he bought in 1987. That's got a graffiti front cover on it, isn't it?
Yes, it is. He's the whitest guy in the room.
What's the thing? It's from Napoleon Dynamite, the hip hop dance techniques video that he finds.
Yeah, that's what it is, exactly. Yeah. He's rehearsed it in the quiet of his own bedroom for a year.
Is it okay to say word?
Yeah. Everyone wants to talk to Sam, basically, let him decide for himself, which is fair. Okay. Jay, I'm tapping you on the shoulder for this. Is any of this believable at all? Could someone come in from the outside? Would he even be allowed to have a conversation? Or is this all just TV?
This is loosely based on something that actually happens every
Oh,
couple of
really?
years. So it's kind of based on something that's happening at the moment in football. So basically it was pre-pandemic. So I want to say about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, China decided they wanted to create their own kind of like football and powerhouse. So they created a league, but like created a ton of teams, threw an obscene amount of money at tons of teams about to like sign like various different players. While basically the way they were doing it was they were bringing in elite level players for amounts of money that teams could not refuse, with the hope that by having their kind of own homegrown players playing alongside these elite players, it would improve China as a footballing nation while also improve the equity of their league. It never works because at the end of the day, a lot of these a lot of these countries, like it's largely Europe. It's such a kind of hotbed for football, and obviously you've got like the Champions League, which is like massive tournament. There's no other tournament really like that in football, and it would be very hard to set that up. Again, people have tried, people have failed.
I was going to say, wasn't there like an attempted Super League thing a couple of years back?
Yeah, so there was an attempted Super League a couple of years ago back that massively backfired. They keep trying to bring it back, but at the end of the day, UEFA is saying that if that does were to go ahead, these teams would be kicked out of all the other European competitions, including the leagues they're in, which would be the only way realistically they'd be able to go and do what Edwin's kind of like end goal is when he's talking to Sam about it later at a club level, is that a lot of these teams would have to essentially like secede from the leagues they're in. And if they did that, they'd lose kind of a lot of all the prestige that makes them alluring to fans in the first place. Saudi Arabia are trying to do it at the moment, where they've basically, again, they bought up a load of leagues. They're buying bought a load of players for silly money. 6 months later, all these like big like acquisitions they made, or the majority of them don't want to be there because they don't like it there. They don't like.
Would you want to play football in Saudi heat? It's like when they had it in the World Cup in Qatar, mate. They had to take a break because it was so hot.
Wow.
I
That's literally
know sports.
that's literally part of like the whole thing, is that they're getting an obscene amount of money, but they've obviously moved halfway across the world away from the families.
Which,
and like,
to Edwin's point, Sam has done.
Yeah. Well, that's like the thing is, like, obviously an African sort of alternative of that is more realistic, in the sense that there's a ton of African players who go and play in Europe.
In Europe, yeah.
But at the same time, they play, like, a lot of them play in countries like France and Spain, which isn't that far from, like, it's only a couple of hour flight to Africa, as opposed to like going across the world to play
to China. Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It is somewhat realistic. It is based on stuff that has happened previously. But a lot of these things that you kind of hear about happening, they never really, they can never stand on their own 2 feet, because
never pan out.
Yeah, because these high profile players are like, well, why am I like wasting like the twilight of my career here when I could be going somewhere else? It's why you see a lot of like older players like going to spend their retirement years, so to speak, or the last years of the career, like playing in like the American League, because it's at least it's America, so it's still kind of got that sort of appeal to them. Whereas obviously if you go into like somewhere like China and Saudi Arabia for a player who plays in Europe, it's
different culture.
It's a big culture shock, yeah.
Well, I found it funny that when Sam actually comes in and he goes to shake Edwin's hand and Ted tries to stop him, tell him he doesn't like to shake. Edwin shakes his hand anyway, which tells you some things, for good or bad, whatever that means. I mean, yeah.
The first time watching it, I was like, does he just not like white people?
That plus he wants Sam, so maybe it's a combination.
I think because he said that in front of Sam on the pitch that he doesn't shake people's hands. It's almost like
okay.
It's almost like to illustrate like Sam's a person of importance to him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair too. Yeah, for sure. So Higgens, it's funny. He says, so I don't know where this come from. Sometimes they'll have bits come out. I have no idea what it means and doesn't connect to anything. He says, so funny. I once read a play about a billionaire who took a footballer to a museum and then dinner. She said, what happens in the play?
Because that's the thing, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Edwin goes, would you want to go out? We'll go to a museum and then for some food. And Sam goes, okay. And it's like, it's a very bizarre offer to make someone a museum and then. But as we find out later on, there's a reason for it. But sorry, Higgins is bizarre aside as well.
Because he
strange interlude. Yeah,
he says, well, they get their meal for free because they found a little bit of glass in the pasta. What?
I feel like that was like him just deciding to do a bit of, like maybe he ad-libbed that because it felt very kind of like ad-lib, didn't it?
Well, Keeley complimented him and she said, I wish I could write fiction. He goes, thank you. I should revisit that work. He took that as a compliment.
I've been thinking about this from last week as well. You know, when Higgins said he wanted to be a cat if he came back to life.
Mm-hmm.
But Higgins is so obviously a dog.
Yeah.
Because he's loyal to a fault.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just weird. It just made me think that
he wanted to be his cat's lapdog.
No, he wanted to be his cat's cat. He's curled up at her feet. No, the cats don't curl up at people's feet, do they? They're off doing their own stuff. So he's a dog, yeah. He's his cat dog. Yeah.
He's a cat dog. It's simple. He's a cat dog.
So see, not important. Also, as well, Edwin. Sorry, not to get. Edwin wants to buy Sam, but doesn't have a team to put him in yet.
Right.
Well, he does. Again, he does kind of reveal later in the
later
episode.
On, he does, but at this point, he just says, "Oh, I don't have a team yet, but I'm putting something together."
You tend to find though occasionally, like so, it'd be a weird situation with that because they wouldn't really start transfer biddings with transfer proceedings with someone who didn't have a club for the player to go to.
That's again, what I thought.
There is a precedent for it that they based it off, where there was it was like a group of Argentine players who had their contracts owned by an agent. So clubs would get basically a couple of clubs got like the players a little bit cheaper because they only paid like the agent's fee as opposed to paying a transfer fee. But it got outlawed very quickly.
That sounds very corrupt.
It's super corrupt.
Yeah.
Because it meant as well that obviously when people were trying to buy the players, if they wanted to buy them from the club, they'd have to buy the players like fee or the players representation as well. So they'd have to essentially buy the players contract not only from the club but also from
the agent as
agents to free them up. So
I'm glad that got because that sounds incredibly bent. Yeah.
It literally, as soon as it happened, it was like, that is extremely suspicious, and this should fucking stop. So it did.
I mean, somebody found a loophole and exploited it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All that happened was, as soon as his contract with those players expired, they were free to move wherever they wanted to.
Mm.
But yeah,
so
there is a precedent there for that sort of thing as well.
What's interesting is that they do a callback here to a few episodes back when Keeley goes in the office and turns on the lights and Nate's just sitting there. That's a callback to when Beard did it to him and scared the crap out of him. And
he's just sat there with the little pillow on his lap, and he's been sat in the dark as well.
Yeah.
And the pillow in the lap is something she did with Roy on the couch that time. And handed the like she was excited he wanted to talk to her, so she handed him a pillow to hold, and he didn't want to hold it, which is funny.
Comfort. It was a comfort thing.
Yes.
When she gave it to Roy, it was to disarm him. Yeah.
There you go. He basically wants her to help him buy a suit. I guess he's tired of the nitpicking and the guys always coming at him, and you know, I think he probably is very fond of Keeley in a weird way, and we find out later how fond he is. Yeah.
Well,
so she would know.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because like in this scene, it's like the last sort of like remnant of like the old Nate, where he's really like awkward and he's like quite bumbling, and he's showing actual humility and asking for help, as opposed to
the bit in the boutique is where Nate Shelley dies. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good point.
That's where he kills the final youngling and goes to Mustafa.
Jesus, let it go.
Never.
I have the high ground, Anakin.
You don't stand a chance now. Yeah, they. Keeley says, "Well, let's go kill two birds with one stone." He says, "All right, yeah, let's go murder some birds with a rock." And she says, "That was good." He goes, "Yeah, I got attacked by a bird once," and they just cut off at that as they're walking out of the office.
But it's
that's
those
a Nate
things
line.
that, like, Nate used to do really well, of just like bizarre non sequiturs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we go to school now with Roy. He goes into Phoebe's school and is met by a woman who says he's late for class by about 25 years. She laughs and offers him a lollipop from her sweater, and he says, "No." This woman,
A, is my hero, and also I hate her so much.
Yeah. She's around kids way too much.
Too much. She shouldn't be allowed. She got a CID check, because I'm fairly sure. But she's got this jumper with like holsters on it for lollipops.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I don't want my child being taught by that, because that's insane.
Yeah, she's around kids way too much. We get to see Miss Bowen again, who's looking all kinds of okay, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
A lady in a short summer frock. Yeah.
Hey, I'm alive. I got a pulse, don't I?
Just one of those things as well, when she goes, "Would you like a lollipop?" And Roy just goes, "No," and walks past her. Like, I haven't got time for this.
He goes in to talk to Miss Bowen, and she says it's Coach Kent, which can only mean nobody told him it's a half day, and Phoebe's mom picked her up a few hours ago. And Roy goes, "Fun. That's fun, isn't it?" Because the callback to the no cursing.
Yeah.
Roy sees a table. Yeah, he sees a table full of alcohol, and he says, "I always thought this is what the teachers did when we went home." She says, "It's an art fundraiser tonight. For 20 quid, you can buy a kid's art. For 40, I'll send it home with you already in a rubbish bin." Roy says, "That's a solid business model." I appreciate that dialogue very much. She's hanging artwork, and Roy asks which one is Phoebe's. She goes, "I won't be able to display Phoebe's artwork." He's a little pissed. He goes, "Why not?"
This killed me.
This is great. It's drawing of women's breasts, like
very, what's she say, like startlingly accurate charcoal sketches of ladies' breasts. I managed to get all of them, but some of the older boys took them, and I believe are using them as currency now. Which is such a weird line.
I love that so much. He says, "Bloody hell." And then he looks at the pics and he goes, "Nice." So he approves. Roy offers to help her get the pictures put up and gets a text from Keeley who tells him she's going to help Nate buy some suits. He chooses to stay with Miss Bowen and starts helping her. Really doesn't mean anything. Keeley can't hang out at the moment. He's going to stick around. I didn't read anything to that. Did you guys?
I think he kind of likes her as well from the interaction they had about the swearing. She's very similar to him. She's very no nonsense, very call it as you see it sort of thing. And yeah, I didn't read anything into it like sexual or romantically. I can hang out with this person and they don't annoy me.
Mm. I think like she's obviously like definitely fancies Roy. Like,
who wouldn't?
Yeah, he's so handsome. Because she's always like flirting with him weirdly, like awkwardly flirting with him, I should say. Like even with him, like with Roy, he's just no nonsense. He's probably just doing that just to help her out. And as you say, he's on the similar wavelength to her.
I've got a free afternoon. Yeah,
I've got nothing else to do. I've come to pick Phoebe up, and she's not here. I'll do this instead.
Otherwise, he'd just be home reading the Da Vinci Code, wouldn't he, again?
Yeah.
I don't think he's finished it yet.
No,
I'd say not. No. So, yeah.
It is weird, though, because they did definitely, like, it felt like they were foreshadowing something to happen with these, and then nothing ever does.
That's fair.
Of all of the things in Ted Lasso, this is the one thing that felt forced to me. The flirting at the first bit was fine because it's Roy Kent. You're a single lady. You'd have a pop, wouldn't you? Like, as a single man, I'd have a pop. But
I feel like
this felt a bit out of character.
I don't know. I feel like she's got really good like chemistry with like Brett Goldstein, but also like Roy as well. Like.
But after the thing at the end of last episode with I love you, Keeley, for him then to be so quick to be like, he must know. Like, he's a professional footballer. He's had his watch stolen more times than we care to remember. He must know when women are flirting with him.
Maybe it's like, because the other thing as well is Roy's just like really not interested about this photo shoot at all. He's got he's sick of all the shit.
They're probably not even going to use it.
Yeah, and Roy's literally just looking for an out at this point of that photo shoot, not of the relationship, of the photo shoot.
Yeah,
so,
okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
He's doing that just to get away from it, from like the actual reality of having to do that.
Yeah, because if he went home, there would be people setting up and makeup and going on about his mad eyebrows, and so better the devil you know. Yeah.
I was just going to say, and while everyone deals in shades of gray, Roy is very much black and white.
Yeah.
Roy's like, she can't hang out. I need something to do. Might as well stay here. I don't want to do that photo shoot. I don't know if there is anything underneath all of that.
I'll hold my hand up and I'll rescind my earlier comment of this actually, having had it explained to me like a child, it does make sense. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say as well, because like for him to have the option of either going home and having a photo shoot going on in his house and him not feel like he's at home, well, Keeley's house, and him not feel like he can really relax and be at home, or to spend the afternoon with someone who's just going to have a conversation with him, hang his pictures. Yeah. Like it's like it's a bit of respite for Roy to not have to deal with that. As I say, he didn't really want to be part of the photo shoot in the first place.
And also, we know how much he loves his niece as well. And to spend time with someone who deals with her on a daily basis probably wouldn't hurt as well. Yeah.
Dude, everything is so layered.
Yeah.
That if they wanted to, they could have went down this road. They could have, and it
would have made sense.
The big shade of grey is when she asks Roy if he's married, and he goes no, and he doesn't. He doesn't bring up Keeley. He just says no, and pauses, and then there's like a bit of a look between the two of them, and then he gets the notification about the photo shoot, and he's like, "I've got to go," and just leaves.
Again, it's her line as well of having to deal with the single dads and the not single dads, and I'm like, oh, God, it must be horrible.
So we go from this to Ted's office. He's FaceTiming with Joe's favorite character, Henry, who wants to know if he should bring his Jamie Tart jersey or his Lego Hogwarts to show and tell at school. Ted says the jersey for fear of how Hogwarts might travel. Henry says, good thinking, Abe Lincoln. This is Ted Lasso's son through and through, right? Ted sees Rebecca come in. They exchange goodbyes, talk to you soon, and then closes the laptop. And we think we're done. And Ted says, what's up, boss? Rebecca says, I'm just going to come right out and say it. I had a torrid affair with Sam. You can hear Henry say, Dad, I'm still on. Which is awesome.
I love the way he closes the laptop and then opens it again to double check and then closes it again.
But again, it's the Ted Lasso thing of here's a poignant moment and then a joke to break that tension. Yeah. But it is the Ted bit of, again, is very good.
So he ensures his son's no longer listening. Okay, let's see. You and she says, Sam. He goes, UL Jackson. And she says, Obasanya. Right. Okay, just checking. Okay, well, I think that's great. Hold on. Wait. No? Yes. Yes, I do. No? Yeah, no, I think that's fine. Like he's really thinking about it in the moment as he's answering. She says, I think I need to end it. He goes, sure, I can see that. So he's very bouncy all over the place. She says, I asked him for a bit of time to figure things out, and now we're in a bit of a limbo situation. He says, great party game, horrible relationship status.
Absolute blinder of a joke.
Yes. That's great. She tells him that Edwin's in the picture now, and she's lost all objectivity, which is fair. She says, Sam's a great player, but does she want him to stay because of her feelings for him? He says, Sam and Rebecca are already one of my all-time favorite TV couples. To have one of them in real life? Yes, please. Which is a Cheers reference.
Boo. Sam and Diane were way better.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might just be because Kirstie Alley turned out to be a massive whammer, didn't she?
Wow, didn't she? Holy Lord.
Yeah.
Yikes. I'll buy that.
No, I always thought Sam and Diane were better. I never liked Rebecca. It felt like they got Shelley Lane left and they replaced her with someone who didn't have the. Anyway,
the charm.
Yeah,
the charm.
Just not the depth. I've never.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, Glory
not as layered. Yeah, not as layered. So no matter what she says, Ted sees her point. Ted says, "Look, listen to me. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Edwin and Khufu. Don't even listen to Sam. Listen to your gut. And on your way down to your gut, check in with your heart. Between those two things, they'll let you know what's what. They make good harmony, like 2/3 of Bone Thugs in harmony. You know what I mean? And suddenly, if you've been watching the show, you know what you're looking at. The shot of them standing across from each other is exactly what happened in the end of season 1, when she came down to admit to him that she had sabotaged the team and his efforts. It's great. Did you catch that when you watched that back?
I literally. So I was thinking they did this in the next to last episode of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Rebecca does make a call back to that saying, no, Ted does, doesn't he? He says, oh yeah, a year ago you came and asked for my advice.
No. As Rebecca leaves, she says this is becoming something of a tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, what do you mean? And she says, well, this time last year I came down here. Yeah.
Massive foreshadowing for season 3.
I've also just had to look up because I thought Bone Thugs and Harmony was 3 and it's not, it's 4 people. So his maths is spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
2 guys must be Harmony.
Had the one song.
You wouldn't want to be Bone. Bone.
There's 2 thugs.
Who's Bone?
Don't know. Bone. There's
Bone. It's probably
there's plural of thugs.
It's the Bone Soldier. It's the Bone Soldier from New Japan.
Bone Daddy.
Bone Daddy. Yeah, it's great.
Killed him anyway.
He says, same time, same place. Last year, you dropped another truth bomb on me. She said, see you next year. And he says, I can't wait. And boy, it comes. It comes big time next season. We'll get there together, kids.
Yeah.
We're in a store with Nate and Keeley, and she's getting complimented by Jarko, played by Alexander Deverant. I love this guy. I'm sorry. I love him.
I love him a bit because he is nothing.
Nothing.
He is an empty shell that people pour opinions into, and he'll repeat. He's a human mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My God. He's just kind of there. He's there for a plot device.
Oh, no, but he's great. Like, he's not overstated. He's just the bit.
He's exactly what he needs to be.
Is
exactly, yep.
Again, one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time.
Yep. Nate and Keeley are there, and he says, God, this place is so posh. Feels like I'm not supposed to be here. She says, this place is for rich twats who piss away all their money on an outfit they only wear once. But Nate, today, you are one of those twats. He's really into this. And through this whole scene, you can see he is really warming up to her and taking signals that are not there. And, you know, it's almost like he's a teenager right now.
You say that, but
right?
I think that's just how Keeley is. Like, she's, I don't want to say flirtatious, but
she's just endearing, isn't she?
Yeah, she's just her.
Kind.
But I think because no one has ever shown Nate any kindness in his life, he takes it wherever he can.
Yep.
Also, as well, with the whole, like, obviously the drinking champagne, probably just got a bit of Dutch courage, hasn't he?
Well, we come to that in a bit, but yeah, she's just like, I'm here to help you, Nate. Like,
he's complimenting him, he's helping him out, and he reads part.
No one's ever done that with Nate before. Like, Ted has, but he's got this bee in his bonnet about Ted stealing his thunder, and like, we know his mum loves him. His dad loves him, but has a hard way of showing it. And so this is probably the first time anyone's shown him kindness. Like, genuine friendship.
And she's a she, and she's crazy hot. So he takes it in the wrong direction. And what doesn't help is she tells him that Roy doesn't like to go shopping with her. There you go. He's already got an axe to grind with Roy for taking a coaching spot, which is weird because he was the captain of the team. But in Nate's fragile mind, all this stuff is about him and how he's getting cheated or whatnot. Do you love films that have the same plot over and over and over and over again with only slightly different looking people in the main roles, but just don't have time to watch them all? You do? Then simply listen to Hallmark of Greatness, the only podcast that takes you through such masterpieces as Love at Sea, Love at Christmas, and A Volcano Sacrifice for Love. See a pattern here? Available wherever you get podcasts from, and also find us on social media by looking for Hallmark of Greatness. But her impression of Roy is great. She says, what do I need to go to shopping for? I already own a black t-shirt and jeans, which is nice.
I also love Keeley's impression of Roy. Never fails to make me laugh.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's like a child doing the big bad wolf voice. It's brilliant.
What'd you think about that god-awful suit he comes out wearing? This thing is...
Oh, mate. Right.
Oh.
If he was a thinner man, it would be fine. But the buttoning here is wrong. If it was slightly longer, it would have been fine and covered it, or maybe like a dual button on it. But yeah, it's not a suit that he should wear. He wants something in a plain color.
And the knot on that tie looks it's the size of a baseball. Who tied that tie for him? Jeez.
Again, I don't think he knows how to tie a tie because at the funeral, Keeley tightens his tie as well, doesn't she? Like, so it's, again, everything's there. But yeah, that is the suit of, I would say, Dick or Dom at the Nickelodeon Awards sort of thing. Like, it's not a...
Oh, God, another
not to be worn
reference
by a man.
Another reference just for me there.
I think of an American equivalent.
It's the kind of suit a children's TV presenter would wear at the Nickelodeon Awards.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Or John Cena would just wear going to some kind of interview.
John Cena would have it tailored so it fit. It's just a poor fit on him. But it's the whole bit where he goes, the crotch is too loose, and he's going, is it? And then they both squat down to look at his crotch, and we just get this shot of Nate going, like, wild-eyed panic in his face.
And again, we get a moment of the old Nate where he goes, oh my God. That great, the way he delivers that.
Yeah.
Keeley says, I think the crotch looks great. You're not helping, Keeley. Stop.
No,
you know what I mean?
She's purely talking from a fashion point of view because she is a
We know
lady.
that.
I know.
Yeah.
I honestly thought, because it took so long, he was trying to, like, engorge himself to fill the crotch out or something. Like, it just went on for... a bit too long, but it was funny too long, like sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then like what's he called? Giacomo or whatever. It's like
Jarko.
a tight crotch is better than a loose crotch. What is happening?
He asked Nate if he likes it. Nate doesn't answer. He looks at Keeley.
Nate
This
doesn't
guy-
know what he likes.
Make your own decisions. You either took a look at that and go, "Oh, it's okay," or not. I mean, but you're right. Nate can't make his own decisions. She tells Nate it's all right. So Nate says, "No, this isn't the one." Jarko offers a drink. Keeley says yes. Nate says no, and she says, "Look, it's free. And once you see the prices, you'll wish you drank a lot more of it." He looks at the numbers and says, "Oh my God," again, and says, "Yes, whiskey, please." So he's ready to start drinking as well, which is probably not going to be a really good recipe for things to come. Yeah.
Shops should have a bar in them.
Yeah.
If I've got to go shopping for stuff, I want to at least have a pint while I'm doing it.
Yeah, Nate and alcohol. Jeez. Oof.
Sorry, in my brief moment there to get a drink, I just had a thought as well. Nate's suit that Ted bought him, I think he bought him a grey suit because that goes with everything. You can wear that to any event except a funeral. And Nate doesn't know that.
That's a good call.
I'm sorry to be hung up about the suit, but yeah.
No, it makes sense. And you're right. Nate
That's
doesn't know what he
good.
wants. Yeah, he doesn't know what he wants. Ted goes to Dr. Sharon's office and finds Higgens back behind his old desk.
You're not here
Which
to take
is-
my office, are you?
Yeah, it's
Higgins is
great.
so persecuted.
I just came to invite Dr. Sharon to Colin's birthday party tomorrow night. Colin's birthday is August the 21st. I love that you know that. I know everybody's birthday. He goes, "Really?" And they both stop, and Higgins just looks at him like, try me.
Bring
He
it.
just gives him that look, you know?
Like Neo in the Matrix. Just to...
Yeah, the thing, yeah. So he starts. Ted's like, Liam Neeson, June 7th. Tina Turner, November 26th. Chuck Norris, Sharon Stone, and Osama bin Laden, March the 10th. What? You are good. And you're right. Colin's birthday party was just a cover for Sharon's going away party. And then comes the bomb. He tells Ted that she's already gone. Emergency has come up and she's having to leave. She wrote everything on a goodbye letter. Ted shakes his head and walks out. Higgins calls after him. He's very produced when he says this. It's great.
Oh, this is, he knows how
Yeah.
to get that. Because we saw, I think it's very early on, when he comes running back in and high fives him.
Episodes. Yeah.
It's the Caesar salad joke, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't let this be the last thing you do, or something. He said, "I can't."
Don't let her get away with it, Ted.
No. Yeah, I was gonna say, doesn't he say let her have it?
Let her have
Yeah.
it, and he comes
Good.
storming back in. God damn!
Grabs the letter and walks out.
It's so good. Yeah, but Sharon's wrote letters to everyone in the team.
Mm.
Yeah,
She has. That'll all come back to play here shortly. We see Sam and Edwin in a museum, marveling at some artwork done by a Nigerian artist. Edwin tells him he bought it, and he's taking it back where it belongs, to Nigeria. He tells Sam that he's going to break up his dad's empire and use the money to make better things and make things better. Great line. Sam is crazy impressed. Edwin doesn't even have a security detail. It's one of the things that jumps out at him. But then he admits he bought out the entire museum and filled it with actors. Sam recognizes one of the actors from I May Destroy You reference. Sam walks up and says hello. And I love it. I like, well, we'll get to that Banksy thing in a second, but he waves and the guy waves back. Who are we looking at?
I don't know if it is, but if you haven't seen I May Destroy You, I wholly recommend it. It's Michaela Cole, who did Chewing Gum, and is a very, very, very funny lady. But also, this is like, I don't really want to go into it here because it deals with a lot of dark subject matter, but it's a very, very good show. I think it was on Channel 4 here. I don't know if you can get it over there, but it's really good. It's about a woman who gets spiked in a bar and the fallout from that and stuff, and it's really, really good.
Interesting.
To be fair, you only see him for a split second,
Yeah.
and I didn't bother to look up if he was one of the actors in it. I'm assuming Jay's doing that now. Yeah.
Thumbs up.
If you haven't seen it, I recommend watching Chewing Gum, which is Michaela Cole's comedy thing that she did, which is very, very good as well. It's on Channel 4, so again, get a VPN.
Someone walks up and says hello, and Edwin introduces him to Sam and says, "Congratulations, you both just made a cool person." This is from back in episode 3 of season 1, when Ted introduced Trent Crimm to Ollie in the Indian restaurant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? Edwin tells Sam that the guy they were just talking to was Banksy. They look back and the
right. This guy looks like, I swear to God, he reminds me of like a human version of Old Gil from The Simpsons. Like, I just got to make one more sale. Old Gil's gonna get his. Like a really like pressed upon car salesman. Like, yeah, it's one of those jokes that kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
because he just goes, "Oh, hello," and walks off, and then he goes, "You just met Banksy," and then like he's taking out a stencil, and all these tin cans are rolling.
It's great.
It's just there's no reason for it, but it is funny.
Yeah, the guy isn't credited, so
there's a lot of bar scenes and stuff in it. He could be like a random person in the background.
He looks like looking at like the cast on IMDb. He looks like one of the main characters, like one of the more prominent people in it, I should say, because they're like quite high up the credits. Yeah, that I love that little callback to the fact that Banksy's obviously people say just looks like a normal fella.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this museum would not have art in it.
I was just about to say that's the Natural History Museum.
Yep. The only thing in there is dinosaurs.
Yeah, dinosaurs and birds stuffed full of sawdust.
I actually say that when I went there last summer with Big Tasty, and there was a little art exhibit, like a photography exhibition, which was very good. Okay. So there was a little bit of art, but it was just like photography of like the Arctic Circle, and
that's photography. Anyone can point the camera.
Yeah, it was good. It was nice photography. Basically, just talk.
If you're listening to this in an audio medium, I then put my tongue firmly in my cheek. Yeah. No.
But I did like literally see it and was like, that's the Natural History Museum.
I was like, them stairs are the iconic stairs that you.
Well, like they walked out from the cafe at the back, didn't they? Towards like the opening sort of like plaza as you walk in.
People in there for overpriced scones, yeah.
I got a very overpriced bottle of water from there and was really upset.
The museum scene alone is interesting because we're getting into the mind of a newly born billionaire. He's already eccentric with his money and hiring actors to fill the building, which is fine. But, they made it sound as though he had just come into this money, which is interesting. But
that's my point, is that he's grown up the son of a billionaire. So,
well, there you go.
He's never wanted.
Yeah, there you go. That's fair. That's fair. It would make sense he's moved this fast. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense now. So the bit that we alluded to earlier, kids, is here back at the store. Ned comes out, Nick Mohammed looking effing sharp in this suit. They found the suit. I'm going to tell you. I should hope to look this good wearing a suit. He looks great. And we see this suit quite a bit more, I think, as we go as well. But she's helping him with his tie, as we said earlier. She's insanely close. Keeley Jones is right here on you, and you're trying to, and you've already liked her, and you've already both had a little bit to drink. And again, she's right here on you.
Yep.
And ooh.
It's as a married man, I would have to go and have a very long lie down in the cold shower in the dark.
I think I would be taking a step back if I'm in, but he's not married and he's Nate and he's
again,
weird.
Like she doesn't see him as romantic potential. She's a friend. She's helping him buy a suit so that everyone stops taking the piss out of his Ted suit.
Also, Nate knows that Roy and Keeley are a couple, and like let's face facts. If it came down to it, Roy would destroy Nate.
Oh, mate. Oh, right. Do we know any people that can make computer games? Because I want Ted Lasso Fighter to be made now.
Yes.
But again, I think it's shows Nate's sort of, I don't want to say innocence because he isn't, but his naivety, immaturity,
yeah,
of knowing when people are just being nice to you because they're your friends, and especially women, and knowing when they're romantically interested in you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to like go, Nate is like showing up for the incel nation in this point, but like, you must know that she's never going to give you a look, mate.
And a couple different things happen here. One is that they're exchanging stories, and then he asks her the same thing he asked Roy and Beer. Do you ever just want to be the boss? And so he's thrown that out there because, again, he really wants to be the boss. And the kiss happens, and then he goes to the dressing room. And I knew the second he looked in that mirror, he's going to spit on that freaking mirror, dude.
Well, he asks her, doesn't he? Like, he says, like, a response is very kind of, like, it's something he could relate to. Because she says, like, oh, obviously, like, her mum, like, worked for a man all her life, and she wanted to be her own boss. So now she's being assertive and she's able to achieve that. And that's like almost as if it's like the last kind of like little thing to like put enough confidence in him to go for it. But obviously he's completely misread the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he spits on the mirror because he's a nasty boy.
Fucking sorry. I know I don't do swearing on this, but as soon as he did that, I was like, once in the restaurant was fine. Because that was like a Greek taverna on the high street. This is a high-end fashion boutique. No spitting on the mirrors. Also, right, just at a moment, you know when in the end of the funeral episode, the last episode we done, where Rupert leans over and whispers in his ear, did you reckon he just went, do you want to be the boss? And then walks away.
Or call me. Let's talk about something.
No, I reckon because he's asked everyone, don't you ever want to be the boss?
Which could have been what he said.
Three people now.
I think he said something like, when are you going to get out of Ted's shadow or something like that.
It's just the fact that he's asked three people the same question.
Because he's got the complex of he's working under Ted, not that he's working with Ted as part of Ted's team.
I'm still operating on the Doctor Who doesn't she look tired thing. Sorry.
And again, I assume that what happened in the last episode led to a phone call that we didn't get to see on camera. That they had a simple phone call, and maybe to your point, he said all this on the phone.
He's definitely planted the seeds when he's whispered in his ear, for sure.
I just literally think he knows what he's doing. I think he's just said, "Don't you ever want to be the boss?" And that's I purely just because I think because he's mentioned it 3 times to 3 different people, and Nate is nothing but a sponge. Like,
and plus when he spit on the mirror the first time around and spit on the field, these were things to pump him up. This wasn't about pumping him up. This was he messed up. Like
that's where the glass breaks and evil Nate comes out from the shadow realm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The upside down, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's over at this point, kids. We've been slow dancing around it since episode 1. We can just say it out loud now. Freaking Dark Nate. Okay. Yes. Down with Nate.
Also, now I've just realized as well that he buys that suit, which is a really nice suit, but he wears it to fucking everything again.
Hmm?
He does. You're right. We see it a lot.
It becomes his identity. That's why, Joe, I was making the Darth Vader references because it's like his suit of armor.
God damn you and your foreshadowing nuts.
You have been defeated.
I know, mate.
That was excellent.
Some trains here, man.
Sorry for all the Star Wars references. I was playing Lego Star Wars this week and it's just reminding me of loads of lore.
Listen, most things in my life tie back to the original trilogy. I'm just saying, almost everything, so it's fine.
Playing the Lego game meant I didn't have to watch Attack of the Clones and like any of the prequels or the sequels again.
What's fun is, because that's a whole other rabbit hole, what's fun is that even though we have to experience this Dark Knight hoo-ha, we get to look at Miss Bowen again, which is always fun in this blue number she's wearing. And Roy says, so you're Mrs. Bowen, the mean teacher. Well, Phoebe likes you. Miss Bowen says, she's smart. Most of them hate me. They have like 20 different mean nicknames for me. Roy goes, go on. She says, I don't know any of them. Miss Bowlegs, Miss Boring, Miss Bonehead.
Again, does a Roy Kent hard stare at her. Like, It's like Paddington. It's just like, and they'll just give away secrets. Like, MI5 should employ Roy Kent. Because, no need for waterboarding, mate.
And she knows every nickname. She was just playing. He says, there's one little boy who simply calls me Fuckwitch, which is immediately my favorite. He says, the best teachers are the toughest ones. My first coach used to chase me around the pitch on a motorbike like we were fucking in Mad Max. Oh, my God.
You could do that back then before health and safety came in and that,
Yeah.
She says, that's terrifying. Yeah, he says, yeah, but it made me fast. So Miss Bounce talking about the single dads and not to single dads coming in for the parents' event, and then asks Roy if he's married. Like you said before, Joe, he gets notification on his phone to leave for the photo shoot, and he's gone. And the teacher he first bumped into walks in afterward.
He doesn't just go. There's like a moment of hesitation.
There is.
So he knows, I should leave. Yeah.
And then he puts the money on the table for Phoebe.
He puts like about 140 quid down for pictures of charcoal tits, which I can get you much cheaper down the docks.
That's
in color, no less.
Roy's going to be like a crypto bro to all the boys who are using it as currency.
That's the spinoff. The lady we saw earlier comes up and goes, ooh, and Balance says, Karen, for God's sake, grow the fuck up.
Grow the fuck up. It's like, no, but like, I work with people who are like that. You can't just go, fucking hell, Susan. I don't care about your parrot. Like, it's just, you can't. But in Ted Lasso world,
yeah, absolutely
do it. Yeah. And also, it is to show the parallels between her and Roy. Of just say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh no, because that's the bit, isn't it? That's how we know that she's a good teacher. Because why are all their paintings? Are they a class below you? When they're looking in, Lollipop Ladies thingy. No, same year. Why are all their paintings? Shit. Oh no, I stopped them before they ruined them. Yeah, and that's why we get the nicknames. Yeah, so she's a good teacher.
Yeah,
because she's not got like sugared treats sellotaped to her body. Maybe, I don't know.
That's fair. So the next bit we get is something hugely important here, and we see it play out really towards the whole end of the show. I think is that the relationship with Ted and Sharon. It's important because Ted fought against it for so long, and he finally gave in, and now he's extremely hurt that she's going to leave without saying goodbye. Because she rides up on her bike, and he says, "Look what the weird bike rode in on." I said, "Well, look what the weird bike rode." Yeah, it's hard to get out. She says, "Ted, how long you been standing out here?" He says, "A long time, and I really got to use the John too, but I'm going to hold it a bit longer because I'm so dang ticked off at you."
Oh. Right, from this point on, Jason Sudeikis' acting is both sublime and ridiculous simultaneously. Like, this bit is nonsense, but the letter is honestly tremendous. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But he just does a big like shake as he's like, I'm so ticked off. It's like wrestling anger. Yeah.
It's like the middling point of like Ted Lasso and Led Tasso.
I was going to say it's like Hogan powering up, but yeah.
Yeah, they go up to her place, and he wants to know how she could just leave like that. She says,
my favorite, like, no, as sorry to cut you, but as they come in, he's carrying the bike in folded up. It's a lot easier to bring in when it's folded up. I wish you'd have told me that. But sit down.
Because that's a callback, yeah.
Because he rebought the bike when she got run over, and he must have like banged it up and down that corridor, getting it down there.
Again, calling this show calls back. Yeah, a lot. Yeah. He's upset that she wasn't going to say goodbye, as we said before. And he says, when I was a baby, I wasn't good. She says, I'm not good with goodbyes. This comeback is awesome. He says, when I was a baby, I wasn't good at walking and talking, but I stuck with it, and look at me now. What a great comeback. If you want to be a smart ass of somebody, I may use this.
Yep. Yeah,
great.
I can't see any blowback from that either, unlike calling fat lasses sweaty or whatever I said last week. Yeah.
He says, you know how hard it is to get grown men to learn choreography? Almost impossible. We even got you a gift. He throws the envelope onto the table and all the money falls out. He says, spoiler alert, it's a bunch of cash. He's
also,
upset.
Right?
Yeah.
To just go, do you know how hard it is to make grown men learn choreography? Dr. Sharon doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Like, it's...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's good.
The thing with this as well is, like, obviously, Ted having to kind of, like, readdress his abandonment issues.
Yes.
It helps him kind of, like, realize that she needs her own support system as much as he does, which is why she's done the letters, because she's not good at saying goodbyes, and she wants to, like, make it like I think she used the letter to kind of make the goodbye as meaningful as she can, because she doesn't want to, like, mess it up.
Doesn't she say, I'm much better in writing than I am in speaking?
Yeah. And you can tell when she's, like, being profound, like, about a lot of stuff, when she's not when she's not being the psychiatrist and she's a little bit more vulnerable, like when she's talking to Ted about her struggling. Yeah. Like, and even in this scene, when she's like, please just read the letter. Please just do me
this letter? I'm not going to read that letter. And throws it on the table. And then she goes, please read the letter. Okay, I'm going to read the letter.
Yeah. But like, there's something that she, like, the actress does really well in that when she's kind of, and it's only subtle, but it's like it looks like she's almost like biting her lip when she's like when she's trying to portray, she's looking a bit like more sort of like vulnerable about it. And it's just a little thing, but you can instantly tell when she's going from being a psychiatrist to when she's being genuinely sincere with him. Yeah. And you see throughout this whole film, she's kind of doing that. Like, she's sort of shuffling uncomfortably, and I say she's like sort of like bites her lip a little bit. And I was like, okay, like you can tell she's doing this because it's hard for her, not because she's like being disassociative with him.
I think that's the thing with Dr. Sharon, is that she is such a professional and dissociative person that she's never made these bonds with people that she has been treating.
Yeah.
And because Ted is Ted, he's kicked through those walls, and they've kicked through the walls together then, and they've reached this sort of point in the middle. She's never had to deal with this before. Ted, I think, possibly maybe still be dealing with some of his divorce anger at this point as well, of someone else he's grown to love leaving him.
Yeah, because like the whole episode, it's like Ted knows she's going, he knows she's leaving, and it's almost like he's overcompensating for that by doing this big grandiose gesture, when in reality, like as soon as he reads the letter, he realizes everything meaningful.
That might be like overcompensating for her pulling him out of the funeral spiral, though.
I don't know. I think it's just more a general...
Like, we know he respects and loves her, but...
It's kind of like the Rebecca thing where he's like, you've got my back. Oh, sorry, I've got your back now.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's more just Ted's, again, like, he feels like they've got a genuine, like, bond of friendship there, so he wants to make this offer, but also it's like, I feel like it's as much kind of like a defense mechanism for the fact that he doesn't deal with goodbyes well either. No. But he does it in, like, for him, just being able to say goodbye would at least kind of give him a little bit of closure on it. Whereas for her, she doesn't like saying goodbye. So that's why she sent a letter, and she's come up with it sounds like she's come up with a bit of an excuse with the whole.
Yeah, we never find out what that is. An emergency.
As well, because she says, I don't handle goodbyes well. It's almost like she's done that as like a way to kind of, because she knows that Ted would probably do something like that. That's her out. That's her way to kind of go, look.
She is. He would have called her on stage and make her do a speech, and yeah. And then they would have all applauded her and sang Well, they were going to do a fucking dance routine, weren't they? Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. In
Exactly.
hindsight, yeah.
Sudeikis is so great here.
I swear to God, right?
I want to read the letter.
bit-
I want to know what it said
want to
because
read
he was great.
It's the bit where he's reading the letter and he goes, "Oh, you spelt behavior wrong," or whatever.
No, you spell favorite wrong.
Favorite wrong, right?
We have a
Right, 'cause she's
U. Americans don't.
American, and yeah. But he's doing, and then like, it's so incredibly well done that he
Mhm.
goes from anger to like confusion to like upset, and all of this is displayed by his eyebrows. Like,
He almost,
it's so good.
he almost as well, like you can see like the kind of realization that he's massively overreacted to the situation.
Yes.
Mhm.
But one thing I will say is I actually like that we don't, like we the viewer don't learn anything other than one word that is written on there.
Yep.
Because
it's like Jim and Jim's letter to Pam in the office. Doesn't need to know.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, that's something that's like deeply profound to those two people. It's none of our business. It's between them. She says, "Look, I put this in, but everything I needed to say to you, I've said in this letter."
Mm.
And she sort of addresses a few bits, but it doesn't. Obviously, that's kind of like the Cliff's Notes version, so we know roughly what she says, but we don't know the exact thing that she does say. And I think that it makes that scene a lot more powerful. Ted's just willing to just forgive her like that for something that he feels really like she's slighted him over.
Yeah. It's having rewatched it today, and I rewatched this scene a couple of times. It is, I think, possibly one of my favorite scenes in the entire thing, just because nothing is given away, but everything is told.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, well said.
We don't find out any information about what's in that letter, and yet we come to understand those two characters so much more than we ever could by exposition.
It's good writing. Show, don't tell. Always show, don't tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. She tells him that the train to Royston doesn't leave till midnight, hence the episode's title, and invites him out for a drink. He's really got to pee first, but he's going to go along. So he's happy.
Wait, doesn't he also have to pee when he drops her off from the hospital?
I think so.
I'm sure he's always peeing in her house.
Weird.
I don't know.
It is Ted, though. So
I'm sure he also, like, they have a big heart-to-heart, and he just goes, "But I do need to pee." I'm sure it's when he drops her from the hospital. When she's hiding all the booze bottles, I'm sure he also goes,
could be.
Yeah, anyway.
Well, the next scene is...
Callback.
Speaking of callback, the next scene is foreshadowing for season 3 because Sam and Edwin are in a restaurant serving West African food.
Same corner.
Sam says, "Yep, I've never had West African food this good in London. I can't believe I didn't know this place existed." He says, "Well, it doesn't. I had it created for us. I brought in my own chefs. I travel often. And I know what it's like to miss the food from home." Sam looks around the room and he says, "Actors?" And Edwin says, "Friends." Join the Untitled Wrestling Podcast for all the latest pro wrestling news from around the world. Want to dive deeper? Interviews, fantasy booking, roundtable discussions, quizzes, video game streaming, watch-alongs, and a lot more can all be found on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. You can also find the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Untitled Wrestling Podcast, and Twitter, Twitch, and Discord at Untitled Rest Pod. Follow, subscribe, and download today. Sam says, "I don't see myself leaving Richmond to play for whatever team you're going to own one day." And then Edwin comes clean. "Sam, you are the 4th person to know this. I'm buying Raja Casablanca in Morocco. My only focus in life will be to make us one of the biggest clubs in the world. Bayern, United, PSG, Barcelona, Casablanca. The greatest African players around the world will come home to play for us. Mark my words, in 20 years, an African team will win the World Cup. You inspired the world to care about what's happening at home. That's why I want you to come play for me. I want the incredible man and footballer you are." Sam says, "I need some time." Edwin says, "Take all the time you need. You have 72 hours. So Jay, is this is Casablanca a real team?
I do not know. Actually, I did not Google that one. Probably is.
We've stumped the expert.
What was it, Raja Casablanca?
Mm-hmm.
Based on the fact that everything else is I'm going to say they've done
probably,
the homework.
It probably will be a
But
real team, or
I'm also going to guess that it is a Nout team.
it is a real team.
Nice.
Raja Casablanca. Well, Raja Casablanca Athletic. But so the thing with this again is it's a tricky thing to kind of try and compare them with teams like Bayern Munich, Man United, and PSG, purely because of like the different continents. So obviously, as I say, like it's a lot of tournaments are continental. So because of that, to really realistically for what he wants to do, he'd need to kind of grow the entire ecosystem of football in Africa, which is incredibly hard to do. It's hard enough to do it within a nation, let alone a continent. However, the thing he says about an African football team winning the World Cup, we're getting close to that. Like,
yeah, boy.
In the, I think it was Morocco as well, actually, in the World Cup just gone, got like further than any other African team ever have. So again, while we're probably a little bit more than 20 years away from that, we are getting closer to that for sure.
I genuinely think an American team will win it before Africa does, based on the money that America throws at sports. But
to be honest, it's one of them like where America and Japan are the two nations that are kind of doing what.
Japan actually, yeah.
A lot of these sort of other nations that really are pushing towards that are doing right. South Korea is another one as well, where they've essentially, instead of just pumping a ton of money into it, they built it up like from the ground.
At the grassroots level, yeah.
They built enough of an infrastructure there where it's going to make it easier for homegrown players to develop into better players because of the grassroots level. That's why England have got so good in the last couple of years, because we've invested a ton of money into like academies and grassroots level football to then allow like young players to develop into good players.
It's almost like there's an analogy here between like skipping to the end and doing the hard work to get good, isn't there? I don't know.
Pretty much, yeah.
I like that this scene, they're also eating a jollof. And I believe, didn't Higgins prepare some for Sam for Christmas, or he brought some or something of that nature?
Sam brought jollof. He brought goat, and he was like, but I replaced it with chicken. And he's
there
like,
you go.
oh, thank you. Yeah,
thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So Roy shows up for the shoot and is grabbed immediately by someone at the front door who wants one of their people to take a pass at his eyebrows. And he just growls at this person. He goes up to see Keeley. He apologizes for being late. She says, "You're not late."
Keeley looks like she's just been given birth to as well. Like, what's going on with her hair?
I didn't. Honestly, I was not a fan of how she looked here. He was, but I wasn't. I'm like,
no, you've got to say that, haven't you? And like, even if your missus comes home and her head's on fire, you've got to be like, oh, you look nice. Yeah.
Yeah. He asks about shopping with Nate. She says it will be fine. She's very nervous about this shoot.
This was the bit where she's talking to him and she goes, I'm nervous about it. And I was like, is she going to say what happened? But
I think she's more like with that. Like, obviously, she's more nervous about everything.
I think the whole thing has tied together, though. Like, Nate making her pass at her means that Nate only just sees her as a sexy woman. Like, and that's all she's ever been seen as. And in this thing, she's successful and fit. Like, and I think I don't know whether
making her second guess herself.
I think it's making her doubt herself.
Yeah. Keeley says, "Please say it's going to be good because I'm really losing it. I'm so nervous, like you guys said." And that's he gives the line about jumping out of an airplane topless, eating a hamburger.
But he also says it was for a service station. Yeah, which is like a American, like a truck stop. Yeah,
sure.
Just for a truck stop, just for an advert for one truck stop, is you jumping out of a helicopter with your tits out eating a burger. It's a bizarre thing to do.
Yeah. But Roy comes through for her.
Oh.
He comes right, well, because he says the real you is fucking amazing, And now the whole world is going to get to see that. You are Keeley fucking Jones, the independent woman. And that's the callback to when they were in the press room together and she was bouncing from one chair to another.
Yes.
She says, should I keep my top on? He says, at least for one shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
But this is why I love Keeley and Roy together, because they've both accepted our Lord and Savior Ted Lasso into their lives, and are now like espousing the mantra of doing bits.
Yeah.
Like we said in the last episode with the I didn't even know there was a child involved. Like that sort of stuff. It's they're very playful with each other, but also honest.
Yeah, for sure. We get a montage here of Keeley doing the shoot, Ted and Sharon in the pub, and Sam on the phone with his dad. And then we're back to Keeley and Roy, and Keeley says, all right, so earlier when I was suit shopping with Nate, there was a little misunderstanding. He tried to kiss me. It wasn't a big deal. Just thought you should know. And Roy says, shit, that must have been awkward. That's a grown-up Roy Kent there, kids. Yep. Thank you for telling me. Then he admits that Phoebe's teacher, they spoke for 3 hours. She asked if he was married. I just said no, nothing else, and I don't know why. And then Keeley said at the funeral,
right? No, but
Jamie told me.
It's the moments between, like when she says Nate kissed me, and like old Roy would have been like, right, I'm getting my guillotine out and we're going murdering the folk. But he's like, okay, yeah, I know, yeah, okay, like. Nothing came of it. It's fine. It's just misrepresentation. And then he's like, well, I have to say what happened today. And he tells that story. And then there's a gap there before Keeley responds. And it's the look they give each other that hurts my fucking soul.
It's almost like realization, isn't it?
Yeah.
That they've not that they're not like the right people for one another, just that they've grown apart.
I
think they're the right people for each other, but not in a relationship. They'll be great friends, but yeah.
I don't even, it's weird. I don't even know if it's like necessarily a friends thing. I think it's almost like they could be the right people for each other romantically, just not at this time, because they've got to kind of like grow up a little bit more. And like obviously Keeley's about to embark on this business empire where she's
drawing parallels to Sam and Rebecca.
Oh, good point.
No, I'm done. I quit.
And also someone else, but I can't say because it'll spoil something from season 3.
And Keeley admits here that Jamie told her that he still loves her. We got to throw that bit in. That's important. Like,
but again, like Roy isn't angry. He just looks hurt that like someone would like literally. It's that they don't feel like that. It's like people don't see they are in that safe of a relationship, as in safe as in like secure, not safe as in like a danger to one another. Because like literally Roy's had like that teacher flirting with him. Keeley's had Nate literally kiss her and Jamie tell her he loves it. And like if people didn't think that they were secure as a couple, they wouldn't necessarily take that chance.
Yes.
It's like everyone can see they're not in the position they think they are as a couple, except for them, and that's their moment of realization.
Well, it's like I said last week with Jamie saying that to her at that funeral. Yeah, it's Jamie having a mature moment, but he doesn't know how timing works.
Yeah.
Nate has misread the signs entirely. Roy is a separate beast, but yeah, I think it's just that look of realization of that this isn't it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the lady makes them turn around and take more photographs. And I got big like American Gothic vibes of them just sitting staring face at the camera.
Good call.
Yeah. Also, it's interesting that they've got Roy in pretty much the same suit as Nate from the previous scene.
Shut up. Ah,
like it just stylistically, it's odd that like.
Well, he said I have to be in black to make Keeley pop, didn't he?
Yeah,
so, yeah,
that's true.
But also, it's like obviously Nate's wearing the black. Like Roy said that Nate wears the black suit, and Keeley said Nate looks great, which is why he read into that.
Oh,
it's like it's almost as if like it's been done intentionally. That like little tiny link. Probably not, but probably not. But
no, it is though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it probably is. Yeah,
yeah.
It's Ted Lasso.
So it is. Yeah, they're always messing with you. Ted and Sharon are back in the pub, and she's playing pinball. Ted's very impressed by her play. He sees the initials on the top scores, and it's SMF. Ted's trying to guess Sharon Mildred Fieldstone, and she answers, "Sexy motherfucker." Ted says, "Rest in peace, Mr. Nelson." And of course, we're talking about Prince. Well done. Ted comes. It's the fact that he's come to hang out with her like this. I know it's their last time around, but this is actually very cool. So
it is just nice that they're both just not therapizing each other. They're not.
Yep.
They're just hanging out as friends.
It's
the first and only time we see it.
I was gonna say it's the first time we see them actually like on a level playing field.
But then, like, Ted goes, "Oh, I'm going to use my favorite British."
British slang and
my favorite Diamond Phillips.
There we go.
I'm going to use the loo. Yeah,
it's good. And
he walks off, and Dr. Sharon comes to the bar, and then See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Play No Volleyball show up. Yeah.
Baz says, "Oh, wait, you're the shrink for the team, yeah?" And he turns to Jeremy and says, "Go on, ask her." They make Jeremy ask her.
Yeah, but Jeremy's like the nice one, and also like
yes.
You know that while they've been sitting there drinking their halves, like he's been going on about the snakes in his garden, which I assume are worms, because we don't have grass snakes in Britain, but not in London. We don't have snakes. No. So I assume
we have adders as well.
We do have adders as well. All right, yeah. All right.
Yeah,
but we don't. But yeah, not in London. So I'm assuming he's just afraid of worms. And you can see her going, "Oh, crap, I get paid for this. I got to give this free to absolute idiots in a pub." And she gives like such stock responses. Is that what you want it to mean?
It's like when like someone finds out, I don't know, like you go to the pub and you find out someone's like an electrician or something, and you like they're asking like, "Oh yeah, would you recommend this or this?" And you're just like, "I don't give a fuck. I'm off the clock."
Could you rewire my house? Because like there's a bit coming out of it, and I've just put a spanner on it, and that works. Yeah.
It's
like May comes. God bless May, underrated character in the entire thing. The voice of reason in a sea of madness.
Yeah.
Piss off, you three.
Piss off. And if you want psychological help, phone that number I gave you. So she's clearly had this conversation with them before, but they're not prepared to. I don't know. It's again one of the very good May throwaway lines. But then she goes, she puts a pint down, and she goes, "No, there's supposed to be two." And she goes, "Oh, Ted said to give me this," and it's a note that just says goodbye. Kiss Ted. And she lifts the pint up, and there's a little army man in it.
I love that the little smiley face he's drawn's got a mustache as well.
Yeah.
She says, "Son of a bitch stole my move."
Son of a bitch stole my move. And then May comes over and gives her another pint. Here's one without all the shit in it.
Yeah.
It's good. Rebecca's outside Sam's place, and he knows she's there. He's got a big smile on his face. And he goes up to her and tells her that she can't give him an answer about them, and she can't ask him to not go, but she hopes he doesn't go. And then she just leaves him standing there. And I don't think Sam speaks at all, which is very telling. I'm rushing through that because we're at the end, and this is a gut punch by Wolverine with the claws popped, and brother, you're going to feel this till you bleed out and you're dead. But the gut punch here, kids, is he gets a text from Trent Krim.
In
Who
the
says
edit.
his name? He said, "Did you
I
catch
love
Trent Krim?"
that.
This is so good. The way that it pops up on the text thing. Hi, it's Trent Krim.
The
A second, the Independent pops up in a
Independent.
little speech bubble underneath it, and I'm like, oh, this is delightful.
It's really good. Yeah, it's really good. By the way, did you notice that when Ted goes into his place, it's clean and tidy compared to what it was in the
Yeah,
previous
it's not-
episode?
And he's in like a really like good mood. He looks like he's
Mhm.
like he just looks happy that he's obviously just like got one over on Dr. Sharon, just like in the like doing the Irish goodbye. But it's the way as well, like Trent says normally something like normally I wouldn't do this, but because I respect
Well,
you, this is going to be dropping tomorrow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is tomorrow's. He says front page, but I'm sure it would be the back page of the sports.
It'd be the back page.
Yeah.
He says, as a journalist, I had to write it, and it's about his panic attack during the FA Cup match.
And it says literally, source says, wasn't food poisoning, it was a panic attack. Or thereabouts.
Yeah.
And Ted, like you can see Ted, but like,
it specifically says like as well an unknown source, doesn't it?
It's, it says, this was received from an anonymous source. Yeah. And we get that like, he shows there's a screen print of the headline of the page, but then like Trent says, I had to write that as a journalist, but was it as a friend or someone that respects you?
Someone who respects you.
Someone who respects you. My source was Nate.
Mm-hmm.
And he just goes, my source was Nate. And like,
care to comment,
and you get Ted, like I was saying about Jason Sudeikis' eyebrow acting before. There's a lot in that couple of seconds of a shot where he runs through a lot of emotions in his face very quickly, and like hurt, betrayal. I don't know.
It's true.
But he just types no comment and then walks off camera, and the episode ends. And we get Karma Police by Radiohead.
Which is another tie back as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's look, I'm not gonna spend 20 minutes ranting on a character that isn't real, but to the character that isn't real, you were the kit man who was bullied incessantly. You weren't a nobody, but in the grand scheme of things, you had very little to do with the success of this team. And this American who didn't owe you anything, doesn't even know the game.
Americans taking credit.
It's about that Ted didn't know him from Adam, but saw something in him because he doesn't give up on anybody, and pulled him from nothingness and made him a coach.
Yep.
And then you turn on him. I don't get it.
Mate,
what?
You think we're not all suffering the same heartache at this point? Like,
it's just me.
No.
No, you're right.
Americans sponsoring anything, and it's just them. No. No.
Very good.
It is though. Is that thing of like if Ted had never showed up there, Nate would be working down the docks for me, selling pictures of charcoal breasts at this point in his life. Like, Ted raised him up. Ted saw something, like you said, Ted raised him up. Ted saw something in him. And just because he didn't give him his immediate flowers, like,
Jesus.
Like Roy says, like Roy said, like, we're literally, it's right there. We're a team.
Mm-hmm.
But Nate still wants to stand above and be. Sorry, my brain's just had a small meltdown. Yeah,
that's what kills me. Like, and you know what? If you go down the rabbit hole of what people say about the show online, and it's a long look, this is where a lot of people got hung up on the next storyline, was they couldn't put one thing with the other and say, this makes no sense. Why would this guy, like, we know because we've dove so deep on every episode, we get it. But from a distance, you're like, this, why would he turn on this guy when without Ted, I would say he's nobody, but that feeds into what Nate already believes. But like professionally, he's nobody without Ted. Can we say that?
Yeah. I'll give you that.
He would have just been as the kit man for the rest of his days.
Yeah.
Or until the club folded.
May have been promoted up to like looking after the corner flags.
Yeah. He wouldn't have been given the opportunity to.
And also, he, like, not to be horrible, but the incessant bullying of Jamie and them, he probably would have quit or fucking killed himself. Like,
I was gonna say he could have snapped and brought a gun to the pitch. I mean, he's already shown signs of being a little unhinged. Like,
did you? I don't want to go down the Reddit of Ted Lasso because
it's a lot.
18 hours in the day, Warner. But Nate's arc makes perfect sense. He's always felt undervalued. He's always felt invisible to people. He's the kit man. No one gives a shit about the kit man, do they? Like, the only time people start giving a shit about the kit man is when Ted shows up. Do you remember when at the Christmas party when they give Will like about 20 grand in money?
Yeah. He never got that.
Right. He never got that. He got bullied. Jealousy and it's. I get Nate's point. I get what he's done, but the thing that, like, in the message Jay sent before, I forgot about the ending, and now I have a white hot rage inside me.
Yeah,
because the only the person who saw good in Nate, sorry,
the person who helped him to where he was and was his biggest supporter is the person he's lashing out at the worst.
He's betrayed on the most personal level.
Yeah. And, part 2 of the rabbit hole thing here is that people went off about Krim giving up his source. And I'm thinking, number one, these people aren't real. Let's all take a breath and try to detach ourselves for a second. But like, he's not real. Thank you. Did you guys bump into the Trent Krim revealing his source bit? Does that even matter at this point? I don't. It doesn't matter to me.
Trent literally says to Ted, "I wouldn't do this if you weren't someone I respect so much."
I respect it. He loves Trent Krim. Must have worked his way up through doing like gutter journalism and like scum, because all British journalism and most journalism is also scum, right? So now we've got that out of the way.
Trent's essentially had to write like a smear piece about someone who he considers a friend, and he doesn't.
The episode where he took him for a curry.
Yeah, ethically, Trent comes across that Trent doesn't really want to have done that because he said, "I had to write it. It's my job."
As a journalist, I had to write this, but as someone who respects you, my source was Nate.
And plus,
I don't know how journalists work in the UK because I'm not one. But I like Trent Krim more for having some balls about himself.
Yeah.
To go.
Yeah.
Maybe that was like Trent's kind of like moment where he realized he shouldn't be at the Independent, given what we know coming up.
That as well, yes.
And because if telling Ted something that, by the way, will get you fired. If the Independent finds out you revealed your source, you are fired. There's probably no two ways about it. He'd have to know.
Ted's not going to grass on.
That's exactly it. Not only did he like Ted and respect him, he also knows, look, this guy's not going to run and tell everybody.
Yeah.
So he has to protect his livelihood.
Again, it ain't like it's going to be for the big reveal. It's more for the fact of get your house in order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because Nate's a piece of shit.
Yes. Yes.
I can't get over, like, I'm replaying it back in my head and I can't get over how much that just a little text bubble hurt me so much.
I know, right? Yeah. Same here. It's a matter of everything he did for him. That's what hurts the most.
That's the most bewildering thing. but also the most sensible thing. Like, it's
Hmm.
such a dichotomy of ideals. It's, if it wasn't for Ted, you wouldn't have got your delusions of grandeur.
Ooh, I'm going along with it, but again, the writer in my head is saying, "Does this really?" I'm not to the point of going on, like we said, Reddit and complaining about it. But there are times, if I take it all together, I'm good. If I take things randomly, I'm like, come on, this is forced. But it's nothing I bump into so hard that I hate this. I love this because it's so compelling. But like, there are little moments where I'm like, is it just that Rupert was the villain in season 1 and Rebecca was, now we need another one? I don't think so. But in corners of my head, sometimes I go there. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, even at the end of series 1, there's moments of, as soon as like Nate gets the coaching job, like there are moments of this. Maybe not at the end of season, because he gets it at the actual end of season 1, but like all the way through season 2, it is there, always been there, and in a very subtle way. Like, not saying that we're the best Ted Lasso podcast out there, but we have spent 4 hours now of my Sunday, talking about this episode, right? Because everything is there.
Yeah.
It's always been there. Like, as soon as Nate got that job, he used that as an opportunity to bully people below him. He's still carrying baggage from the Jamie Tart and Colin stuff. Like, he's a man who can't let stuff go. He's a man who everyone else has become a team, and he has circled around that team like a big old shitty electron.
Well, I'll say it, since Joe won't bring himself to say it. We are the best Ted Lasso podcast out there. And we hope you agree, because by God, that was season
1 where it's 4 women with no tops on trampolines doing it.
All right, fine.
Second best. Fine.
We're the second best Ted Lasso podcast you'll ever see, and we've all got our shirts on because that's how it should be. All right. But that's episode 11, season 2 in the can. Done. We got one more, and season 2 going to be over. You understand? And we got one more season.
Going to 12, man.
One more season. I can't wait to get into it. But you're going to have to wait, aren't you? Unless you're watching everything after the fact, which means you could just go ahead and play number 12.
Yeah.
No.
Who's to know for sure?
Who's to know?
Jesus.
Joe, take this home for us. Give me your takeaways.
Christ. Right. Nate's in knobhead. That's it. I'm done. No.
Good.
Rounding off of that, Roy and Keeley realizing that this isn't the right time for them. And Nate's a knobhead. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Also, Ted is a lovely person, but feels like it would go mental if you wronged him at some point. Hanging around in a park waiting for someone to ride by on a bike is insane people's behavior. Although, parallel, he waits ages for Dr. Sharon, and then also Rebecca waits ages outside Sam's house.
Yeah.
Well done.
More parallels.
Opposite ends of the spectrum.
What do you think, Jay?
Fuck Nathan Shelley.
Yes!
That's all I got to say about that.
That suit might have cost you $3,500, but it looks like a tin file on a dog shit.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, again,
nothing against Nick Mohammed.
No, Nick Mohammed's a great actor. Nate Shelley
is he's a lovely person, and he plays that character so well. But I forgot at the end of this episode is where that drops. And
I'm still mad.
I'm going to use my hatred to reheat my noodles in a minute. Cyclops it.
Well, to your point about Nick Mohammed being awesome, he's got us to both love and adore Nate and effing want to kill him, which is the sign of a great actor. By the way, as we do this in real time, kids, awards continue to pour in for season 2. So, and they continue to win. So I hope that they sweep at the Emmys, and I hope everything goes great, because this cast very much deserves it. And we've still got one more episode to go, kids, till season 2 is over. And then we've got 12 to go for season 3. And that'll be it for this here little podcast. We can't wait to tackle it. Thank you, kids, for tuning in as always. Please continue to spread the word about Two Nations Under Ted at Ted Lasso Podcast. We very much appreciate it. Check us out on boinkstudios.com for all your podcast links. Share the show wherever you can. Tell your friends about us. And in the meantime, for Jay and Joe, I'm Tom. See you next time, kids.